reached Can I Call You? How can I help?
I need help. Is my relationship in trouble?
Can I call you? You've called 8 times. What is going on? Hi, you've reached Can I Call You? How can we help you?
Welcome. I'm very excited to talk with both of you today about two of my favorite topics, fangirls and parasocial relationships. So, first of all, how are you doing today? How's everyone's week?
What day is it? I don't know. I'm great.
I don't know. I feel bad saying if anything's good just because of the state of the world, but things are fine.
Okay, well, on that note, I'll start us with our first question. Okay, so I'm going to dive us into our first question today, which is a personal favorite topic of mine, and it is,
why do I feel ashamed being a fangirl?
And to add a little bit of context to that question, this person is not talking about just like fangirling over a thing. They're talking about being like an avid fangirl as part of a fandom, which
like they're joining like a club.
They're like, whether they've officially joined or maybe they make fan art, maybe they're just like really obsessive over a specific celebrity. That's more what this question is framed around. And it's truly fascinating. I think fandom culture and fangirls, and I know for a fact that fangirls have actually defined the social internet as we know it. Certainly if you look at platforms like Pinterest, they actually developed and were developed around how fangirls wanted to share imagery online. And so I think that the topic of being a fangirl and like feeling ashamed about it is specifically interesting because I think fangirls, in my personal opinion, are made to feel as though they're not powerful, but they actually are extremely powerful because they influence things like how technology is built, and also like they create celebrities. If you don't have a fandom, you aren't famous. People don't care about you.
What's their end goal? I want to talk. Can we unpack this?
Yeah.
I think it's like a hobby.
Here.
I think it just feels like a hobby where it's like because the thing is like we don't gossip about like royalty anymore. And so we find other things to gossip about. And
despite that people in this country wish they were royalty, there is no royalty. Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you climb that social media ladder and if you figure out the algorithm, like you have that for a brief moment in time. But I just see it more like a hobby, or it's like people who like talking shit or who like hyping something up. Like, so I guess the Bayhive, that would be a fandom.
The Bayhive is a fandom,
okay.
Are the
like
ones
Webster's
that like
Dictionary.
the One Direction, like the Swifties. There's tons of different like fandoms. A lot of them have names like the Bayhive. But I think that there's something that's very there's like a really interesting quote that I want to read you guys, which is from one of my favorite books. And it's written by Caitlin Tiffany. She says, a fangirl still exists in contradiction to the dominant culture. She's not considered normal or sane. Her refusal to accept things the way they are is one of her defining characteristics. And I think that the reason I bring that up is that I think that fangirls and fandom culture is actually like almost in some ways like a form of protest. Like perhaps it's a form of escapism from the norms. It's a form of expressing yourself, like talk about having a muse. If you're like creating all this like literal literature some of the time with like all the stories people write, and I'm now blanking on what they're officially called, and like fan art and everything.
Who do you think she's a fan of?
Who do you mean?
I mean, this person's like, I'm ashamed of it. What are we ashamed of?
I think that
maybe it's a political movement. Fangirling over the wrong
side. I think
side.
it's that fangirls, like people often write about fangirls as being like clinically insane. Like you look at like Beatlemania and like the rise of Beatlemania was all women, and it was all like everyone being like, oh God, they're like crazy for like being attracted to these men or being obsessed and screaming
now
at these men.
it literally created the mold.
Yeah.
For how to create actually commercial bands.
Yeah.
Like K-pop stars, like I feel like it's just like, they just took the blueprint of the Beatles.
I just want to know what it's in service of. I want to know, like, where do we go? You're a fangirl, and then what? What's their mission? Tell me.
I think the thing is for me, I'm like, if you're a fangirl and if you love this community, whatever we're calling it, if you love making art about someone, if you love just following what this person is doing and you're not like hurting anyone or threatening anyone or wishing death upon anyone if they are against potentially your the same person that you have put on a pedestal. Because listen, like some people aren't religious, they have fangirling. I don't see necessarily a problem with that. if it's just like a hobby. Like if your religion is a hobby, that's cool because that's fangirling. So if you're like I'm fine with it.
Jesus has a lot of fans.
Well, that's what I mean.
Like a lot.
And so I'm just
it's an
saying.
interesting take.
I'm just saying.
He's the biggest.
it's
Well,
like-
he's not arguably not the biggest celebrity. On
I'm
the
just
planet.
I'm just saying it's like ultimately like I think that it's really interesting that people belittle fangirls because of the actual subject of their fandom, but it's equally irrational if you look at other fandoms that have been
Agree.
very much so socially accepted. And
Well,
so my
yeah.
take is if it's a hobby, which I think if religion's a hobby, that's fine. Just don't put it into politics.
No, wait.
We're good.
This is what we're not extracting from this, which is the most critical piece. Sorry, I'm eating the mic. Sorry, is fangirl versus men liking things, right? And I think this was the take that we were trying to get at, which is like, why is it seen as if it's a woman who likes something or a celebrity or whatever it is, like we demean it. And I think that's really interesting because men play video games, right? Mm-hmm.
And sports.
And sport. Oh, basketball season,
Yeah.
Ian. Like, I don't know. He wanted to name our firstborn that was never going to happen, Amari. Like, come on. Dudes do not get the shit that women get for liking sports teams,
Yeah.
but like, it is
It's the
fangirl
same.
dumb.
Well, I think
question.
that fandoms are actually communication structures. So like they create these communities in which like people initially connect over a passion or an interest, say Taylor Swift, and then they continue their like community and like sharing of important information. I think it can also be like really bad. I think like rumors and whatever else can also spread very quickly through fandoms. But I actually think a lot of it is it's just community.
But doesn't this tie into this whole idea that men are allowed to have the hero's journey, but women aren't? And actually, like all of these people who love Taylor Swift or Beyonce just really believe that she's the hero, and that's completely fine. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. It's great. Like men are allowed to have heroes, but women aren't because suddenly then we're seen as bananas.
So there's a cultural theorist called Theodore Adorno, who was
Perfect last name
observing-
for this.
yeah, Adorno, who basically was making an observation of fans of pop music in the 30s, and he said they must have free time and little freedom, which I think is a very interesting observation as it pertains to like women and fangirls specifically.
And like sports.
Clearly, the NBA wasn't around then.
And sports.
And also sports. But
Yeah.
like freedom, I don't think that freedom is as applicable in that. I think that there was, I guess like the observation is really that like when you grow up and then like become a mother or you become like a woman and it's like your time where you went and expressed your like freedom and your like free will and you were just
like living vicariously.
yes, it's like this idea of like I don't know, like
Well, it's like the Harry Potter fandom. Like, people will not let go of it despite the fact that J.K. Rowling is a total turf. And I think that it's really interesting that it's like, that's like a fandom where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you're not letting go of this because something deeply emotional.
Yes, but I think it's wild that this applies to women, but nobody bats an eyelash when you see men spilling out from some bar,
Yeah.
screaming about the fucking NHL.
or like
Who
hitting
cares?
each other about it.
No offense.
Yeah.
think-
I went to
come on.
I went to a soccer game I went to a Chelsea game. So a football game.
Oh,
Who are
yeah.
they playing? Do we know?
I don't remember. I only remember the fights, and like I literally had to I ran out of there because like people were brawling, and I'm like, so emotional. Like it's really weird.
emotional.
I'm like, y'all need to get your shit
We
together.
need
Yeah, they're
to-
crazy about
I mean,
it.
I
honestly.
was like, you can't hold your liquor or beer. It wasn't even liquor. They were just drinking beer and probably like cocaine. And I was like, y'all need to chill out.
why
Like,
is this seen as
it's a
something
game.
that's so weak in women, but is so celebrated in men?
Well, I think it's like that's an observation on almost anything.
What's your problem? Why do you think of sports are
Yeah,
the
the
same
boys in
thing
the
as being
room
a
weigh in.
Swiftie?
Sports
their
are just
Super Bowl.
So great. Yeah, I agree. Sports are just great.
But like, why do
But
you
why
care?
is that different to like celebrity culture?
It's
not. It's the same thing. It's our version.
yeah.
But why is it more socially acceptable?
I think we just answered the question.
I actually think
100%
I know
it is.
why. It's because women's interest is like relational. We're interested in like relationships, relations between people, and so our like obsession with like celebrity culture or interest in celebrity culture stems from that.
Hold the.
Whereas sports is like not as much like relational, and so ours is written off as stupid, basically.
It is. When Ian's like, again, sorry, Ian's like, this player and they were arguing, and then da-da-da, and this happened off the fucking court, and I'm like, what are you talking about? This
Or like,
sounds
why
like
do
you
you
watch
know
the
a score from
Kardashians.
20 years ago?
Like, also
Where the fuck is
totally.
that stored
and like,
in your
where
brain?
the fuck did he go?
Well, I mean, a lot of
suddenly
people
we
are
know.
very
He's like,
angry that
you
the
can't remember
WNBA
your-
is doing well, and so I actually
Yeah.
don't think it has anything to do with the subject matter. I think it has to do with who's consuming it, and that it's a woman doing it.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, people are not super kind about the WNBA right now,
No.
and that it's not as serious, and that oh my gosh, they're wearing makeup, so it's like they're just dramatic, and you're like girly pop. There's like no difference between this and like adorning yourself in ridiculous outfits
I've
after
also
coming off the
never
court.
seen so many fits thrown as I've seen when I wake up from my nap and watch crap going on the sidelines of these said basketball games. Like, clearly they're not
We've
fans.
normalized fangirling, and to be honest, we have so few joys. I am here for it. More fangirling, but I think where fangirling or any fanning
segue.
freaks me out is when it gets like stalkerish, or you're invading people's personal space, or if somebody disagrees with you, you start sending them death threats. That's
Death threats are bad. I agree with that.
Well, no, seriously, it's like when the Bayhive comes after you because you maybe say that you're like, oh, I'm disappointed that this celebrity didn't speak up about this subject, right? Which is totally fair. You're allowed to critique people, but then it's like this huge avalanche of people harassing you because you dare bring down one of their gods, which I actually think it's just religion. They're all
I think
different forms of religion.
it's like the culture or societies move away from like religion as like the pinnacle of communities, local communities, and like people are seeking the same sort of not like spiritual existence, but like purpose.
I mean, it's only explanation for paying this amount of because when we went to concerts, at least like when we did, it's like you were paying like $20 to $60 to see like people that now would cost like $500 to $1,000.
I know. I wanted to see Charlie XCX last year just because like for the cultural moment. It's like $700.
I saw her 10 years ago, and it was cheap.
Yeah, I saw her when I was in London at uni, and she was like extremely cheap. It was really fun.
It was
though.
accessible, or we say accessible, but like that's the thing. It's like I don't know. I feel like people are playing.
I have a whole thing with live music. I'm not tall enough to see anything. The sound is usually shit, and you're paying for crap, food, drinks, experience. So
Eva is not a fan.
Eva's not. Eva's not a fan.
I am a fangirl,
but now we're going into the next.
But I do think to conclude for this listener, I don't think you should feel ashamed for being a fangirl. I think it's that you're observing and maybe feeling how society feels around like women having passion or women expressing themselves differently, and you should continue being a fangirl because fangirls are powerful.
And to the segue on this all, it's when fangirls become people that believe they have a parasocial.
Let me ask you my follow-up question.
Go.
Okay, so the next one we have for the table is,
I have parasocial relationships online with so many people. Is that bad?
Yes.
Okay.
Ish.
I mean, the thing is that I'm somebody with a small following, but it's big enough where I get people like just this morning I was in the gym and you shower, so I was coming out naked, and this woman comes up to me and is like, "You do those TikToks," and it's funny because I'm also like, I started a company, and they're like, "Oh, you're the TikTok lady," and she was like, "Oh,
You're the
I
naked
love
TikTok lady,"
and she was like, "Well, now I'm naked," and so I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's like, "Yeah, like I really love, like I learned so much from you, like I really, like, and so it's like it's interesting because my fandom isn't because of my personal life, it's not because of my boyfriend, it's not because of how I dress, it's not because of like anything like that where I'm not talking about my life, and I'm not being vulnerable in that way. It's really about like beauty standards, science, skincare, the industry, things like that. So it's pretty niche. But the fact that I just have people coming up to me on a daily basis, like as if they're like, "Hey, like I know you," I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm naked.
And you're like,
what's up? Like, can
and
you
they're like,
let
what do you think of
me-"
my skin?
Yeah. No, and I'm like putting a towel on. She's like, "Yeah, like I just noticed you immediately from your skin," and I'm like, "Well, you're seeing all of it." This is so
I'm literally
uncomfortable.
naked.
Literally naked.
Choose your moment.
And she's
At
like,
least
"You
I could
have
have been
great
dressed."
skin in real life," and I'm like, "I know."
It's like your
And
elbows.
it's like a little bit flattering, but it's also a little bit like this is the locker room. This should be a no speak space.
They're trying to be flattering.
To that person, if you're listening to this, it was totally fine, but I was just naked.
Well, now you know each other in a different way
In a
than all
different,
other
more
fans.
personal way.
Because later, when I was doing my makeup, no, because later when I was doing my makeup, there was another woman who said the same thing. So I had two people in the gym today.
Maybe you
But I
should
was
wear
clothed.
clothes.
Well, I was
Yeah.
clothed at that point.
Okay.
I'm gonna be one of those people who
I
starts
think I
getting
have
changed
an
in the
interesting
bathroom.
perspective on parasocial relationships. not just because I have people that follow me online. I have had followers. I'm 31. I've had followers since I was like 18, 19. Through like, I wrote a blog, but mainly through one of my ex-boyfriends, who was like very big online. And so I had a lot of people follow me because of them being fangirls of him.
You're a mini wag.
And so I was I don't like that word, but maybe. But the I think that it's interesting when you have people like these people. Some of these people have followed me for like 12, 13 years now, and I've changed. Like I don't even know who I was when I was that old. I was still at university. I was just starting university. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've shared online. I don't share that much. Like I don't overshare online, I guess is the best description. But like they've watched my vacations over the years. They've watched my new jobs.
Yep.
They've watched my cats. Like
I do love your cats. I do have a parasocial relationship with your cats.
Yeah, a lot of people do. But
Get in line.
But I do think it's interesting because I experienced like the flip side of people having parasocial relationships, not necessarily with me, but with like someone in your life, whether that be a friend that's very famous or a boyfriend, a girlfriend that is also like well known. And so I used to get like hate mail or like people messaging me in the DMs being like, he's going to dump you and be with me. And I'm like, I've never been someone that's like particularly unconfident. So it's not like I found it strange. It's not that I took it personally, rather.
Right.
I did find it very
You're not
strange.
like,
very
there's
strange.
a competition. Better take her
I'm
out.
not worried about a 12-year-old girl DMing me. But what is weird is I'm like, what?
I hope that's what you wrote back. What?
No, I never replied to any of them.
Well, I think maybe the meanest fangirls or the meanest fanboys are people like children, because children are vicious.
Yeah, they're mean.
To go back to the previous episode.
Or people with
Still love fangirls, for the record.
or people with any sort of a Bible verse in their bio. I have a theory. The meanest people on the internet have a Bible verse in their bio, and I know this because of personal experience.
Cross emoji.
Oh God, red flag. So how did you deal with like what was that like parasocial, or do you feel like it was like the shrapnel of somebody's parasocial?
I think it was the shrapnel of someone's parasocial, but then some of them did translate into followers of mine. Like I've had people comment on pictures.
Some
being
people
like,
were on your side.
Yeah, who were like, I've
love
watched
this.
Who I've like.
Some people did not like your ex, and
maybe
they added something
but
wrong.
it's never negative about. Like they never comment on the relationship. It's more like they'll comment being like, I followed you since you had your blog. So cool that you're doing this now. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like it's so cool that you are supporting, but like what? You've seen like 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I did.
I have the same thing. And
Yeah.
they're like, I love you. Like they'll say things about your life and you're like, I forgot that even happened, and they'll remember. Some of them will be like, you taught me that Squarespace class, shout out to Squarespace, like 10 years ago. You kicked off my career. And I'm like, I did? This is great.
I think that's a beautiful part.
I think that's what's nice about the internet as well.
It is. But I think where this gets a little bit, to me, where I'm the most uncomfortable with this is and this kind of probably extends to all of us, is you have a company now, you know things I don't, save me, help me, give me advice. In 2 minutes, you can fix my life. And I'm like, I can't. My life is not perfect. The joke here is I am an elder millennial who still posts on Instagram like it is a Pinterest board. My life is not perfect. I am a mess like every other human. And I think that's where, to me, I actually feel guilty because I don't want them for that to be the takeaway.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, that should not be the takeaway.
Oh,
that my
like
life
you just
is
got
perfect.
my highlight reel. Like I actually I red-pilled you into thinking that my life is perfect, but it's a mess. But I'm not going to post that mess because it's just not something.
No, my
that
life
I
is
feel
not
like
a mess. I will say my life is like fine.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm
you're
not a
you're
share.
regular human. You're
Who
regular
has
human.
their own messy moments.
Totally. We
Yeah.
all have the chair with all the clothes on it. Everyone does.
Yeah.
But I think it's just this idea of like, it makes me feel this weird responsibility to respond. Or if I don't respond, I feel very guilty because I'm like, they thought I was going to bestow some fairy godmother dust upon them and it would fix whatever they're going through. And those are the kinds of parasocial relationships where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
I
get
asked
a
this
lot
or
of like, whenever like I get into that place, it's like I'm like they just like the production of my life, like how I'm producing my life and then presenting it online. But for me, what's really interesting is I talk a lot about skincare, and so people automatically think that like I am this like entity that only talks about skincare. But I talk a lot about politics, because politics not only does it directly impact my business, but it also impacts like, you know, how people present themselves, because they want to fit into whatever is like culturally normative that's going to be popular, right? So people picking and choosing different body features literally is a direct impact of culture politics. And so people get really mad at me and like to tell me what I can and cannot talk about. And I think that's really interesting to me, is like you're dictating
say to
my
you?
voice. Oh, like I'll get like if I talk about certain things, like I will definitely get like the occasional like death threat and things like that. Or I'll get the I'm so disappointed in you, because I talked about Republican. I talked about
Get in line.
I know. It's like, yeah, I was like, my parents have the first ticket. But I was talking about Republican girl makeup. And I think it's really interesting that we're not talking about this makeup trend that is happening on social media in the same way that people were salivating at the mouth talking about like strawberry girl makeup. And I'm like, this is actually far more interesting, because everything is drag. And so it's really interesting to me when people present themselves a certain way. Why are they making those choices? And especially when there is something that is so cookie cutter, especially when you see how people are on social media, when you see news presenters, when you see our politicians, but also like there's Make America Hot Again parties that are happening in DC. And I'm sorry, like you look at that contour and you're like, call Rue, like you need to blend that more. And it's just,
But
it was
if you bring
fascinating
that
to
up,
me.
your
But
fans are like, hey, now.
No, one or two people will be like, because I will say, like, I'm actually extremely blessed. Like, I was, there's this amazing, like, handy service in New York called Handy Ma'am. And they told me that any customer that I send their way is, like, the nicest person. And I think that is because I'm constantly culling my audience to, like, I'm fine with having my own audience being an echo chamber in certain ways, though I do love to change people's minds. But I just think it's like very interesting with the parasocial relationships. You can start telling people what they need to think because of what they have perceived you as.
Do you talk about your personal life? Do you talk about like Joel and family and all that?
So this is so funny. I posted a picture of him like a couple of weeks ago, and this like one person was like, "Oh, finally, like a hard launch." I'm like, "Oh, I'm with this man for 3 years." And then shortly thereafter, he was at a bar and somebody came up to him and he was like, "I don't know if I like that."
I love that.
So I,
It's funny.
I was like, "Be
don't-
on your best behavior. Don't get me canceled."
I used to post more than I currently do. A big part of the reason I don't currently post as much as I used to is I've been recovering from a concussion for like 15 months.
I don't know why you didn't
And
just capitalize on your concussion and have concussion
Well, I
talk.
couldn't look at the screen. And so I stopped sharing as much. And also my phone is in black and white now. And so I just like don't take pictures as much, which is interesting. And I actually quite like it. But anyway, I also like, I don't share that much of my personal life like in my stories anymore. I barely post pictures of my friends or my boyfriend or anything like that. And it's not like necessarily, it's like kind of intentional, but also I just like don't want to anymore. I don't, there's something where I'm like, I don't know, it feels like weird to me.
I will get like, I once posted a friend and then they got some weird hate because of like their job. And so I sent them by accident, like somebody that was like, you know, a hater. And I think that now I'm so careful about what I post, because I would say by and large, people are super nice, supportive. Like, we love the fangirls, we love the fans. But then there's going to be like the occasional person that takes that parasocial relationship way too far.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I'd say,
yeah, there are a few of those.
I'd say it's not. I think it is a little bit bad that you have lots of parasocial relationships with people online, because it makes me like, I'm like, are you doing that because you're lonely? Maybe, which I understand could be like a way to help with your loneliness, but it could also make it worse. I also think it could be a little bit bad if you then are like feeling as though you're entitled to the people who you have these parasocial relationships with, whether that be entitled to their opinions or them saying what you want them to say.
Or their time.
Or their time. And I think that that's like something that uniquely probably, I know that all of us experience it, but I don't want to generalize, that like women online get, especially women who have like done things that people also want to do, and therefore they want your help. Like the number of questions I get being like from female founders being like, how do I fundraise? Or like, how did you raise money? And like, I'm like, I can't get on a call with all of you.
You could do a town hall.
I could do a town hall, but like, I also don't think I'm that good at it. Like, I'm like, I've done it. But like,
Or like, can I get coffee with you? And you get like 10 of those requests like
Yeah.
a day. And it's like, I would love,
That's
I
how
actually
we got
would love.
to can I call you? So
Yeah.
call
Exactly.
in and we can answer. But
Exactly. You can
yeah,
call in.
it's like this entitlement. So I think that like if your parasocial relationships make you feel bad about yourself, or they make you
Yes.
have too many expectations of others, then like maybe address like
'Cause,
why
like-
is it that you have so many parasocial relationships?
Well, because like I will say, you do not know the person.
You don't.
And you are not
No.
friends with the person. So you cannot approach the person like they are your friend. And I think that that's for me sometimes when things get a little bit odd is like somebody will reach out to me, ask me for something. And I just don't respond sometimes because I'm like, oh, like I actually don't really know how to answer this question. And then they'll come back like, I can't believe you didn't respond to me. This is so ridiculous. Like you say that you're somebody that like supports other blah. It gets into this really weird space where I'm like, I have never met you. I don't know you. And I don't have, guess what? Like I have friends that call me. I just had a friend that called me.
Yeah.
Like I have friends that call me that I know and I've known for years, and those relationships matter to me. So it's like if your parasocial relationship is going to a place where they make you feel bad or you feel like you can say something to them, also just unfollow. If you don't like what they're posting, just unfollow.
So-
Don't write a narrative.
Yeah.
Not to throw out more Maud stories, but Maud was just in the Design Museum at the Louvre, and the whole thing was about private lives. And it was private lives from the time that there were paintings of women in houses because women were meant to be kept indoors, like all the way to surveillance. And the idea was, what is private and public space? And how do we, at the end of it, right, is like, how do we reconcile what we are putting out publicly blurs the lines for people between private and public. And then we don't say, this is my line, because you don't like
Well, also
come out and say
then-
that. And then people create lines for you.
Yeah.
Well, and then also you step outside, and I did have this situation once because like I don't have that many followers, and I don't feel like I cultivate like the same parasocial relationships of like the New York City influencer types, just because like I talk a lot about like science and like work. But I was at a bar, somebody took a picture of me and posted it and tagged me, and I was like,
What did they say?
I was like,
what
whoa.
were you
I was like, this is
drinking?
how Kate Moss got caught. Like, she's just living her life. But it's like, they were just like, oh my God, like I saw Charlotte parlay at like a bar. And I was just like, whoa, that is crazy. And
But
it's
you
like,
do have kind of a lot of followers.
but it's just like, but I think I think particularly in New York too. Like I leave the tri-state area, and all of a sudden people are like, who the fuck are you? But what I will say is like, it's just really interesting to always feel like I'm being surveilled, because I actually was once at a coffee shop and they put in my wrong order, and my friend's like, well, get a new I'm like, no, I don't want to. Like, I don't want another coffee. Like, we'll take this one, even though it's not what I asked for, because I don't want to correct something. Them then say, this woman's a bitch, and then write something about me on social media.
New York
Like, I
influencer
feel
snuff
like
or
I'm
whatever
in that
it's called.
episode of Black Mirror where I'm being evaluated, but I feel like we're getting on the point where it is going to be everyone being upvoted or downvoted. And so it's really interesting because I actually do modulate my behavior based off of like where I am.
Well, I think we won't get into it, not appropriate, but being an employer and a boss,
Yeah.
all of it, being a founder and having to be on your best behavior at all times, and like you can't be a person. I think then it bleeds into this part of your life, and it's just like sometimes I want to be like,
Yeah.
I am a person. I'm going to take a picture of that chair with all of the goddamn like clothes on it, and I'm going to tell you about real things. But then I say I don't want to do that. It's my
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah. I think that actually leads us very nicely onto my next question for you both.
Hey, can I call you? If you want to start a company, do you need to be a public persona?
Well, I guess it depends on.
Your gender.
Well, yeah. Whoa. So I would take it there.
Let's map it out.
Let's
We're
map
going to
it out.
pull out the
Are you a
notebooks.
man? Are
That
you a
is the
white man?
answer.
Did your dad start a company? Is your dad rich? No. I think.
But also seriously,
But also
you
seriously.
also don't need to if you check all those boxes.
That's fair. We can end it there. No, I think that there's definitely a perception if you're getting funding that will somehow boost your business if you have followers. Mm-hmm. Whether or not that is true, engagement-wise, why we have followers. We all have followers for different reasons. But I certainly think that comes into play. But more than that, I think it's this perspective people have that they must be buttoned up and ready to start a business. And that, to me, is the biggest lie.
Yeah. I think it's my opinion on it is that I've actually in fundraising been asked about my like public persona, or in various ways. So
how much of a girl boss you are to raise this cash?
No, like they talk about like how I want to like do I want to grow my following, or like questions where I'm,
or do you want to grow the business? I don't understand.
I'm like, I know male founders who've raised $20 million and they've never posted on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I also think that the whole concept of like, if you want to start a company, do you now need to have a public persona is interesting, because people are also like seeking to connect with the founders of businesses.
Well, they're
more than
looking
they
to
used to
potentially buy aligned with their values.
Exactly.
And so they want to know who's behind the company before they do anything. And so if you don't have a record, then they're like, oh, there are no receipts. Well, this person's clearly dark money.
So weirdly, nobody cares that I started like Maud's customer does not give a shit who I am at all.
There are some people who do. I
think in general, it's like, because it's, it's like such a personal decision.
Reporters care. I have a very specific view on this, because my company, I don't think it would. There's a lot of reasons like that we had success, but it definitely helped that my following jumped astronomically before starting the company. And so my background is in media, and when I was at Hearst, one of the big things that we were trying to do was actually build editors' followings, because we could then sell that to brands to then get actually talent for cheaper, which I had a whole opinion on that and how they should basically become the talent agents and let editors make more money, because there's been a mass exodus of editors, and then they just went off and made their own money, but that's neither here nor there. So it's something that's called earned media value. And so when you have a big following, your marketing costs go down.
It's true.
And so because I didn't have funding at first, having those marketing costs go down helped us astronomically with getting sales, which then led to traction, which then led to a proof of concept.
Here's the thing that you've always said. You came from media and you had an approach that was so commercially minded and so educational. Like, what you've put forth is so true to who you are in terms of your values around what you would sell, why you would sell it, how you want to educate people. And I don't know that other people...
Well, I mean, the thing is, what I will say is, if you are not good on camera and if you don't feel comfortable on camera, then like, no, you can't do something that's not going to be, it has to feel true to you, and you have to be able to do it every single day and not absolutely hate what you're doing, because the number one rule of being a founder is you're always going to be like this. And so if you're always looking for the highs, like that's just not going to happen. So you have to be able to actually like what you do and show up every single day. But I'm just saying, if you can get in front of a camera, it is the easiest way to cut out marketing costs. Yeah. And what I will say is that, I've been, there's some of my parasocial relationships that are like, you are so calculated. You built your following before launching a brand. And I was like, well, yeah, no shit. Like, I also did this for a living. If you just looked at my LinkedIn, like my background has been editorial, growth hacking, and content creation. It doesn't mean that I'm like lying to y'all about skincare.
You are an esthetician.
But I truly, yes, that too. But it's like, I truly believe that if you can do it, it is a great way to start. It is not how you're going to get across the finish line.
I think that, so as someone who's actually built personal branding strategies for people and been paid for it, I think it is, to your point, exactly picking a medium. I think if you want to start a company,
well, there's a credibility.
There's a credibility, but like pick what you are comfortable with. Like, I hate talking to camera, but I really love writing. So I did a newsletter, a Substack newsletter. I've written the Substack newsletter, which is the DM newsletter, for like 4 years now. And we have had other contributors to it now. But like at the beginning, I wrote it every single week.
Which is amazing.
And it was like an essay. And so it wasn't like a short form thing. It took a long time to write it every single week. And so I think it's like picking, if you want to start a company, I don't think you need to have a public persona, but I think it can help you. I unfortunately think there are some like expectations industry-wise on specifically female founders.
Beauty in particular,
or CPG or consumer product founders to
be visible. And that, I think, culminated in a lot of the like terrible stuff that happened in the girl boss era. But like, and also the downfall of the girl boss era because of how prominent all these founders became. But I don't think you need to. I think it can really help if you find a medium in which you feel comfortable doing content creation. So I will just say, at a very base level, clean up your shit. Because there's another piece of this, which is I think some people have gone into it with no public persona in mind whatsoever, and what they do on the internet is there, and they don't clean it up. So at the very least, like if there is a takeaway here for any listener, clean it up.
Housekeeping.
Housekeep your
Hire
digital
a
footprint.
housekeeper if you need to, but you definitely need to make sure
Yeah,
that
and if you want to keep a low profile, make everything private. Like, it's fine. But I think it should definitely think about it like people are going to come.
And I will, but what I will say is, like, if I didn't have the following that I had, we probably would have needed to have raised a lot of money. And that's the thing, is that, like, investors were shocked because they were like, "How are you doing this with so little money?" And I'm like, I know how to make videos on social media. And it wasn't even just for me, it was also for Do. And I was writing at the beginning all of those explainers. I was designing all the graphics. You know, it's like I had been doing that for so long that it's like I just knew how to make something hit and go viral. And so then what do other people do? They see it as a trend. They see something that's popular, then they copy it. Forever Eye Mask was designed to put on people's faces for earned media value. It's like, it was all very, like, I love it when people are like, "You were so calculated." I'm like, yeah, and if I was a man, you would call me strategic and smart. So it's awkward.
Yeah, I do think there's something interesting around, if we touch a little bit on, like, the female founder expectation. I don't really like the term female founder, but, like, founders that are women, and the expectation people...
Lady founders?
Lady founders.
Is that better?
That's worse. That people have on them having followings. I do think it's very interesting because women are natural influencers. Like, we influence privately. Like, the amount of recommendations that we pass in our group chats, over dinner tables.
I mean, we're the ones buying for our households. That's true.
Yeah, we control 85% of consumer spending, percent of consumer spending. And in a world in which all of the main platforms rather, where you can, like, quote unquote influence, are visual platforms. Right. Women have always been the ultimate influencers, like, especially attractive women. And algorithms promote that. They promote hot women who are talking about products because that serves their interests as a business a lot more. And so I do think there is this thing of, like, women are natural influencers. They're also natural, like, they do control consumer spending. And so we are influenced by seeing people talk about products more, for better or for worse. There's a lot of reasons, I think, for that I think are very negative. But, like,
A lot of for worses.
But that's the reality. And so to answer the question from, like, that lens, it's like, if you want to start a CPG brand, or say, in my case, a consumer app, having a following can certainly help, because you are pitching a consumer product to the consumer directly. Yeah. And they'll build maybe an affinity or
we'll
trust.
See.
Yeah, like, if you're building, like, a SaaS tool, like,
I was going to say
fine.
a SaaS tool.
There are a lot of, like, SaaS tool founders who
Sassy
I'm like,
founders?
why are you on the internet? Nobody cares.
Sassy founders. I love it. Everyone's allowed to carve out their space on the internet.
Yeah.
You know
Maybe
what? I mean,
maybe
shout
they're
out to
inspiring.
all
Maybe
the
they're
platforms
inspiring
we love,
other
but-
sassy people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling sass people now. Sassy.
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
I didn't have a question.
Oh, I thought you just asked a question.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. In conclusion for this listener, I don't think that you need to have a public persona.
But at a baseline, clean it up.
But at a baseline, at least clean it up, especially if you're a woman and especially if you're about to enter your girl boss era, because employees or people on the internet may be coming for you.
They are going to come for you.
The pitchforks are coming at some point.
The pitchforks are coming.
The more
Get your armor
success
on.
you have, and this is what I've heard from every single founder and also every CEO that helps, because we just hired a CEO. Every bit of success you get will get you somebody that's trying to take you down.
Here's
a notch.
the thing I have to say.
I refuse to
be
be
so
humble.
excited for you guys
Refuse.
to enter your 40s, because it's a I don't give a shit era. We can talk about that some other time.
Okay, great. I refuse to be
I feel
humble.
like I entered that at my 30s.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. I have more of a, like, I refuse to be humble.
Good for you.
Thanks for your questions. That was a great episode. Thanks for listening. Remember to submit your late night questions on, is it canicallyou.com?
Yes.
Amazing. I know our own website URL. So thanks for listening. Submit your late night questions on canicallyou.com. We love a voice note. Subscribe and find us on YouTube, Instagram, and also remember to listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And remember to leave us a review. It means a lot. And it's going to help us beat the algorithm. Develop a parasocial relationship with us, if you will.
We're here for you.
We're welcoming them.
Not all the time.